Alright, what's up, y'all? So the whole reason for this video is, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I'm gonna make a beginner's guide to speedrunning. From the car, to reading logs, to the ESC, to everything. It's not the 200-mile-an-hour recipe, but I'll tell you what, it's the recipe to get you there, 110%. You know what I mean? If you follow, it's not even a following thing. Listen, I'm going to talk about some things so you guys have a better understanding of knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it, and to grow from there. So this is like for all the new dudes in the game, man. This stuff's a lot of fun, man. It can be expensive, but I'll tell you what, it's super fun. And if you guys like challenges and you like going fast, dude, this is the hobby right here for sure. So there's like a bunch of stuff in this video that I'm gonna talk about. I got a card here in front of me, so you know, this has got the camera pointing down on it. This is gonna be the first edit that I've ever made, so I don't know how that's gonna pan out, but I'm gonna try to keep things short and sweet so it doesn't get too boring, and really give you break this down a little easier for the new guys so that they can understand how to select a motor, how to tune the ESC, how to set up a car for the suspension. Now this is all speed running stuff, and this is how I set mine up. I hit pretty good numbers, so it works for me. I can't see it not working for you, put it that way, you know what I mean? My cars are pretty planted, everything's, you know, runs on rails, pretty straight. Yeah, man, so we're gonna get into all that stuff. We're gonna talk about range boosters. A big thing in this is temperatures. Your electronics, just, you know, keeping them in good health, right? Teach you how to read the logs. We're gonna talk about batteries. I'm gonna even talk about some of the items that you're gonna need in, you know, relations to going out and making the run, like cutting tires, you know, prepping batteries and stuff like that. All these things will help you in your journey to doing the speed runs. I got some packs back there cycling, they're beeping right now. But yeah, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. We're gonna get into this. Yeah, that's what I got right now. All right, GoPro, stop recording. All right, guys. I don't know how this view is gonna work out, but yeah, man, we're gonna jump right on into this. So this is an incomplete car right now. This is a 4090 single motor setup car. A lot of stuff isn't attached, and if you guys hear the crazy fan sounds in the background, try to ignore it. It's the battery cycling back there. That's one thing I want to get into, so I'm letting some cycle right now to show you where they're at, and you know, things to look out for with your batteries and the health of them, pretty much. But that's probably at some point in this video. So one thing I want to talk about was the setup, right? So this is just your single motor setup. Now my single motor setups are all in the, you know, 190 plus, and I definitely want to push for 200 with a single motor on 8S. That is like the goal as far as it goes right now. It hasn't been done that I know of, unless somebody else has done it and wants to step forward. I'd love to see that video. But for now, that's my goals. That's what I'm going to go for. And this is how I would set up my car to do it, right? So this is, let me see. I wonder if I can bring a couple cars over. We'll just do it on this one. All right, right? So this is it. You see it. You got a good view of it, right? So my ESCs, right? I set up my ESCs this way. I use ripple killers. Some people don't use them. Listen, it's not going to get you mile per hour at all. It does not do that. The only thing it does is provide a little bit of a healthier system, right? So with a car like this, I'm going to push boundaries, right? So I would like to take advantage of any little thing that can help my car. If you know, if a ripple killer will cut back on some ripple and just make it less stressful on the ESC, then I'm putting one on. You know, if I'm running a dual car, it's not really necessary. I do it by force of habit, but I know a lot of other guys who have hit the same number. Well, not a lot, but you know, James has hit the same number. I don't think he uses ripple killers or anything of that nature. But, you know, this is what I prefer to use. So, that being said, you know, something like this ESC setup, I'll just glue it to it. I love using the scorched mounts, so, you know, that sits up on the side. Now, one thing about a setup, you want to keep wires short, right? I use this wire loom stuff, and, you know, obviously not on the servo, but on like this harness per se, right? Dude, half of this stuff you don't really need. We're speed running. You can keep a fan on there if you want, but I don't even run the fans. Listen, I'm doing one hit and I'm letting it cool off anyway. It's got proper timing. If you got it geared correctly and all that good stuff, your ESC's not even gonna get hot like that anyway. You know what I mean? But I always let things cool off in between runs. I'll run a couple cars at once, and once I come back and everything's back down to ambient temperatures, that's when I run it again. Maybe, you know, 35, 40 minutes, maybe an hour or whatever. But, you know, with the harness, you can cut these wires, right? You can cut everything short. I do it because I like a clean setup, and I just, what's the point? There's no point in having all that wire all tied up around, could get caught in the gears, all that good stuff. And that's another reason why we use the loom, because it keeps everything tight. Now I can just hit it with a nice zip tie or do whatever I want, and it's good to go, right? So on the harness, for speedrunners that are trying to just, you know, keep it simple, what they need, right? This white, brown, and red one, snatch it out, it can go. Fan, it can go. The only thing that should be left on here is these two, just like that, you know? And then you can like wrap these all up, get it nice and tight to your ESC or whatever. But when you have all your wires cut, it just, I'm gonna use this term a lot, a bottleneck, right? Think of you know, you got a bottle of something, right? You know, a can, for instance, Red Bull, you know? All right, so look, let's say, you know, let's just use this as an example. This is the ESC. Let's say this is the ESC, right? And this is the wire connectors, right? So the ESC is trying to demand a bunch from the battery. Okay, I'm sorry. The motor is trying to demand a bunch from the battery. Now the ESC is caught in the middle, right? So shortening wires and doing that kind of stuff, it eliminates more of that bottleneck. Just picture energy going through this, and then it has to cut in, it has to squeeze through these wires to get to the big old battery, right? So what we want to do is shorten these wires so that it can get everything faster, easier, not as choked, I should say. And the same goes with the ESCs to the motor, right? We don't want to put connections between that, because it's just another point for the energy to struggle to get through, you know? And we're talking very minimal, you know? We're running one of the fastest single motors in the world right here, you know what I mean? Like, so everything, but these are like habits that you need to get into. So, you know, keep your wires short, keep everything tight together. Try to have as minimal joints as possible, you know what I mean? It's just places for the energy to heat up and you know, get bottlenecked, get choked, whatever you want to call it. So that is going to run up the amps, you know what I mean? Amps are bad. We don't want amps. We want as low as amps as possible. We want as much RPM as possible. We want as less voltage sag as possible, you know? So all these things work together. They all work together, right? So that about sums up the, you know, the actual wire work and the setup that you're laying on your chassis. Keep the wires short, try to run efficient, as less connectors as possible. I like bullets QS8s have an anti-spark thing in it. I don't think it makes a difference. I don't, but I prefer bullets. You know, I deal with a little spark here and there, whatever. It's not hurting anything. You know what I mean? So that about sums up the wire setup, guys. Keep everything short, less joints as possible, and run as efficiently as possible. All right? So that sums that up. Now, when it comes to selecting a motor, you guys, you know, well, oh, I gotta, you know, let's just say an example. Let's use Castle as an example. You got the 2028 1700, and you got the 1721 2400, right? So people think like, oh, I'm gonna put that 2400 in there and it's gonna go, it's gonna rip. Yeah, right? You will get more RPM, but KV, I'm trying to think of the easiest way to explain this. Now, this is to all the new guys. This isn't to all the pros out there, you know what I mean? It's trying to make it understandable for them. KV, just get a motor for, let's put it this way. Get yourself a lower KV motor. Don't go to that 24. When you got a high KV, you're going to have high amperage. You're going to have hotter setups. Leave the, you know, graduate into the higher KV. Start with the lower KV. So, for instance, like a lower KV will have more torque to it. It'll be less amp hungry, and it'll be more user friendly, so that you can learn your gearing, you can make mistakes, you know what I mean? And it's not necessarily gonna hurt the system as bad, you know? It may not hurt it at all, you know? So this is for the new guys. Stick to somewheres between 1700 and 2000 kV, maybe 2200 at the most, but you don't really need to go above that. And you know, when you go to selecting like a 1700 kV motor, any brand, anything like that, you're talking about a gearing window this big, right? Whereas if you start increasing that kV to, you know, 2000, you might end up with a smaller one. Then the 2200, smaller. 2400, really small. You know what I mean? So get your motors based off of how your knowledge of gearing works. You know what I mean? If you don't understand the gearing and how to, you know what you're doing and running efficiently, start with a low kV motor and really stick to it and grow with that. You know what I mean? Because that's going to be the most user-friendly thing to the car, which will keep you in the hobby and not blowing stuff up, things lighting on fire, you know, just slamming the batteries, beating the ESCs to death. You know, stay away from the high kV stuff. Go to the lower kV stuff. Get your feet wet, for real. It's one of the best pieces of advice I could give you. There is no need for that high kV at first, right? And now here's another thing. Let's just if you're using TP motors, definitely get on the website and look at what you're going to do. Now this goes to the 8S drivers, right? You know, this is all 8S setup, 8S conversation, 8S in general. So you want to go on and look at the motor selection, and you don't really want to go over anything. Well, you can go over it, but you want to stick to something that's, you know, 33, 34, 37 kV in that area. Once you start getting, like, for example, the 2400 4080, that's a hot setup because it's only rated for 28 volts. So you're really, you know, overworking that motor just applying normal 8S to it. Now, we gear it to sag the voltage down a little bit, and then it puts it at that 28 volts. So it's operating under its max conditions, you know what I mean? So, you know, these are things that you got to look for. You got to get into your motors and really look at the specs. And if you guys got any questions about this, that, and the third, like stuff that maybe you're not understanding that I'm talking about, dude, just message me. I'll explain it to you again. But this is, you know, trying not to bore everybody or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, that when it comes to selecting a motor, try to stick to the lower KVs. It works, you know what I mean? And then learn off of that where the mistakes won't hurt your car, all right? So, you know, that about sums up the motor, right? Now, I'm going to take you into the logs, right? So, this is a better way of understanding. Let me see here, just make sure you guys can see it, all right? Hopefully you guys can see this log, right? So this is a 170 mile an hour log. The gearing is 34-34. This is a 1-to-1 setup, and I use this log to show you something. This is a Steve New motor, and it has a lot of good attributes to help me explain what you guys are trying to do in a speed run and the boundaries of the electronics and stuff like that, and the quality of a battery, all that good stuff, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what you're looking at right here. So this red line right here, right, this is your battery voltage, right? This is your battery. This is a key part. These are all important, but you really want to pay attention to this red one right here and this dark red one right here, maybe brown, I don't know. The way it comes on the screen looks like dark red. That is your RPM. That's basically how, you know, how well the motor is spinning, right? And then you got your power out, your watts, which is the dark blue. And then you got the green is your amps, right? So amps are bad. We remember that. We want low amps. Amps are stress. So think of it that way. The higher the amperage, the more stress the ESC is under. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, all right. So I guess we'll start with voltage. We'll start with the battery. The battery was charged to 33.7, which is like topping off at 30. I don't know, what is that, 4.22 or something like that. You overcharge it just a teeniest bit because you want to get to the starting line at 33.6 so that you're giving it its full potential from the start, not the drive down there where you're losing it. Now, you know, a good battery, I'm not going to use other people's brands. I'm sponsored by SMC. This is an SMC pack. And this is a 170 mile an hour gear, 34-34, 1-to-1. So during the run, you want to see the voltage. The minimum was 28.9. That's good. You want to be in that window of like 27 to 30 on a good speed run. That's about where you want to be, you know. And with this setup, this car, exact same everything, went from 170 all the way to 181. So that's 11 mile an hour difference on the same gearing, the same everything. And I'm going to explain some things to you so that you understand what you're looking at right here, right? So the red is the voltage, right? So this is the run. This is the start of the run, and you know it's going faster, 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 faster. Bam! It reaches the top. So this flat line, right? That's your power out, and it reached 100% power out. You also want to make sure that always says 100%. If it ain't hitting 100%, you're either calibrated wrong and you're not ever going to hit 100%, or you're not holding the speed run long enough to get to 100%. So this is the run. Bam, right? We're going up. Amps are going up. It's delivering power. It's going. Everything's ripping down the street. And bam, we hit the top of our run. We know that's 100%, right? So here we hold it, right? And the only reason we're holding it is because we want our battery to stabilize. So once that battery is dropping, it hits 100% and it stabilizes right there. It just stays flat, right? Now, we could say that this is slightly overgeared, you know, or the motor is probably maxed out. And I'm going to say the motor is probably maxed out because on a 40 millimeter can, and we're seeing, you know, 17, 18,000 watts on other motors. I'm not going to get into specifics. I shouldn't even have talked about what motor this was, but on other motors, I've done 196 at, you know, 17, 18,000 watts. So there's a big mile per hour difference there. Huge, right? But I forget where I was going with that. Oh, so this motor's maxed out, right? The RPM's going up, the battery stabilize, and the RPM does not increase. So basically, it's telling me that this motor it gave me everything it's got, and it's trying to get up there, and it might slightly still go up a little bit where you're trying to squeeze a mile per hour or two out of it. But you know, it just is what it is. So how I want to handle this to get more speed out of the car, if I know the motor's giving me everything it's got and my amps are at 600 amps, what could I possibly do to get more speed out of this car? Well, I'm going to tell you. So this is, let's say, what is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12-second run, right? So to increase the speed, if I want more mile per hour, I think in my mind, all right, I got to get the job done faster because I'm losing battery the entire time I'm doing this run. So the battery's just, it's going down, and then until I hit 100%, it'll plateau, it'll stabilize, right? So the only way for me to get more speed is to do this run faster. The faster I do it, the faster I can hit the amperage, the peak of the amperage, and as long as the battery's good, it'll stabilize, but it'll stabilize at a higher RPM. You understand what I'm saying? So your whole gearing, your runs, everything matters based off of your battery. If your battery cannot perform, then you're not going to get gains. If it just keeps dropping, or the voltage sag is too much, then it is what it is. The best piece of advice I can give you is lower your gearing all the way down. I prefer to start any motor at 34.28. Yep. Or I'm sorry, 36.28. It's been a while since I had to do that because I understand pretty much all KV and I understand where to start my gearing. But for anybody who doesn't know, 36 on the spur, 28 on the motor is pretty much safe in every application on an 8S setup. You know what I mean? So you can figure it out from there. You can, go up on your pinion and then start to work your spur back down. Here's the thing. Your spur is going to dictate, how could I word this? I don't know. It's going to be too confusing for me to explain that. I don't want to get into that and bore the hell out of you. But your spur is leave it at 36. Leave it at 36. Get it to where you feel that your RPM is maxing out, where you're hitting a certain amount of RPM, where the motor temperatures are maybe 130, 140 degrees. That's a healthy operating range for temperature. Once you start, going over that, you're putting a little more stress on the system and all that good stuff. So, hopefully I gave you an understanding of what you're looking at here. And we'll go down the line. Ripple, it's something of the past, honestly, but we like to keep that ripple down. It's pretty much like feedback coming back into the system. Current, this is your limit. Castle will probably chew my head off for saying this, but dude, don't go over 600 amps. It's not even rated for 600 amps, clearly, you know what I mean? But don't go over it. I'm going to be real about it. Some can do it back to back to back to back, no problem, up to 600 amps, some even higher. But then sometimes you might get one pop at 500, you know, and it's this system was never meant to deal with that kind of amperage, and it has surpassed its ability. I personally don't even believe it's maxed out, you know what I mean? But that's a topic for another day. Don't go over 600 amps, you know. Really, I would like to tell you don't go over 500, to be honest, but you're perfectly okay with being between 500 and 580. I almost guarantee it, you know. I don't know if I can get any trouble for that, but just, yeah, 580 is starting to be concerning. Start paying attention, you know. If you're going over 600, you better be going 190 plus miles an hour, because that's about where I'm at with it, you know what I mean? And just, yeah, if you start going over 600, it better be stupid fast, and if it ain't, then you better back your gearing down. You're doing something wrong, you know, or your batteries or something. It's not efficient, as you hear so many people say. All right, so watts, 18,000 watts on this run. That is pretty extreme for a single motor. That's you know, that's generating a lot of power. You know, when you see that, that's how much power the motor has made, you know. Now, you got to apply that power. It's, you know, if for example, okay, this car has never been on camera, and there's a reason why. I don't even know. God damn it. Now I'm gonna have to edit this out or keep it one or another. So this car does 3,000 watts less than this. This thing does not waste power. This one is wasting power. But they're both at 196 miles an hour for single motor 40 millimeter cans, right? So, you know, don't waste your power is what I'm trying to say. And there's things that we can talk about to get you understanding how to do that also, but these are certain things you got to learn, you know what I mean? All right, so temperatures, look at that, 120 degrees. I'm producing 18,000 watts, 600 amps. Man, that ESC is a trooper. It's definitely handling it very well, very well. And it was a new one, I would think. So 120 degrees, that's beautiful. Yeah, power out 100%. If you're calibrated correctly, you will always hit 100% once you get there, you know. RPM for that motor, it's pretty much where it wanted to be, you know. Another couple thousand RPM and we'll be looking good. It's about a 40,000 RPM motor. So that about sums it up for the logs. If you guys got also questions on that, definitely let me know. All right, moving on to the next thing. A range booster. Is that all there? I don't know. Yeah, it's all there. You can get these things on like AliExpress or wherever the hell. You got to get this cord separate. Is this the right one? Yes. Yeah, this is the right one with it. So these come separate. I don't remember what they are called. Touch base with another driver. They'll definitely know, because they're definitely using this wire for sure. Maybe not with this range booster, but I always remember because we got the little bird on it or whatever. So these range boosters work with Futabas, and I think pretty much all of them. I'm not sure. I really ain't, but I use a Futaba. This is the range booster. They're like 20 bucks on friggin' AliExpress. Damn, I can't get the thing back in the box now. We can maybe get into that video one day. I don't know. Pretty much setting them up, but these are the yeah, maybe this will, I don't know if you can use that code. Yeah, right there. Sunny Dog. I don't know. Yeah, but that's it right there, guys. That's the one you need. It's pretty straight and simple. You can throw that right on your remote pretty easy. Man, there was a lot of things I wanted to talk about in this video, but you guys are probably so fucking bored already. Alright, so let me try to set this camera back up again. Alright, what are we looking at? Alright. So what are some other things that we could talk about here? Rake on the car. We can actually have the car the way you want it to sit. And the best way to actually have it sit, if I had wheels on this and you could see it, you want the car to be with the nose down and the ass up. So I run my suspension stiff, and this almost like guarantees it. And the nose, this one has no shocks on the front. I got something different going on with this car, but you want that rake to be like this, because when the car gets going, the back end on acceleration wants to push down, the front wants to come up, and all the weight wants to launch to the back of the car, right? So having a stiff suspension in the back is going to really prevent you from doing flips. Will it make the ass end a little looser? Absolutely. So if you're not geared correctly, it will get loose on you. Now, you can use a gyro. I use these little G2 gyros. And here's a perfect pass right here. I use these little G2 gyros. I like them. I don't use them for that reason. I use them because of tire blowouts. If I have anything that can help me aid in a tire blowing out and the car, you know, becoming uncontrollable and wreck out and or possibly hit somebody or a car or anything, I try to stick to runways mostly anymore because of the speeds that I'm doing. But there's occasions I go out on the road still, and you know, a gyro is something good to have if you're hitting higher speeds and you're suffering from tire blowouts because your road may be too rough or you don't have a truer and you can't trim them down. So try to keep your rear end suspension stiff and keep the nose buried into the ground. If you can get like the tip of your finger under it, you know, that's like perfect. But if you start going, you know, a little too high, make sure when you put your body on that your body itself is hanging down lower than this splitter, you know what I mean? So that no air can scoop up underneath of it. Always tape the car off. The more you make that body stuck to the car itself, like the chassis, the better the car comes stable, you know, because you got all this wind pushing it down and pushing it to the ground, and then underneath the car you got suction. So the better that car body is attached to the chassis and is one with the whole car, the more stable your car is going to be. If you got your body flapping around and or doing all this crazy stuff and wings and all kinds of stuff attached to it, you really got to stabilize all that stuff and get it planted. That's what's going to give you a straight shooting car, along with other things, towing in the rear, towing in the front. You know, you don't have to tow in the front. I choose to. I used to run zeros across the board, and I was doing that for a long time, over 200 miles an hour with no problems, you know. But when I wanted to start seeing a little bit more faster speeds, and I felt that I was maybe losing mile per hour and causing amperage by having to correct steering so much, that just having a little bit of tow kept me a little bit straighter and enough to where I don't have to adjust in the middle of a run. You know what I mean? It was just focus on accelerating and stopping. So, you know, suspension's super important. It's also going to save your tires. You don't want it to be super stiff. Like, you know, this is stiff, but it looks stiffer than it is. Definitely want to angle them in a little bit. You can run them straight up and down, as long as you got a good amount of distance, but for it to smoothly get into those speeds. But if you got a short amount of distance, you're definitely going to want to use a little bit of suspension, because you know, it's going to be an aggressive pull, and tires are going to be biting into the ground, and you just need it. You know, some suspension is going to help save the life of your tires. And once you guys get faster and faster and faster, you're going to really hate the tire problem. But that's a topic for another day. So what did we go over? We went over the ESC, we went over the motor, we went over some suspension, talked about the body and keeping it one with the car, helping it keep planted, modifications. This is like, keep it simple and sweet. A lot of guys, they don't like using all the metal and stuff like that. I like using it based off of how I gear and how I run my cars and the amount of times I crash. I like things to be built super strong, but I pick an appropriate motor to deal with that kind of weight. You know what I mean? So all these things work together. Start stock, start with a small motor, hit your 100 mph, then make a goal for 130, then go for 160, and then from 160 go 170, 180, 190. That, set yourself little goals and reach them. And along that ride, you're definitely gonna you're gonna learn so much by trial and error, but hopefully some of this will help you get there. All right, so I'm gonna take a little break and we'll jump back into this in a minute. So for now, GoPro, stop recording. All right, guys, I'm dealing with batteries. Next thing I want to talk about is the tire truer. Now, this takes a 17mm adapter. This is made by CRC. You can get these from Saga. He sells them as a kit with the adapter. Definitely go check him out. And he had a great sale this past Christmas too. This is something that you absolutely will need. 110% will need it if you are speed running. Anything over 150 miles an hour, you better start truing. You're going to start chunking tires. You're going to be going through a lot of them, and you'll be an unhappy camper. So get yourself a tire truer. Balancer. You can balance your tires, all that good stuff. And yeah, these are all things that will help you keep down amperage. Like we were talking about before, amperage is stress. So keep it down. You want to get as low as possible. And, these are ways to do it. Have good aero, keep that body down, tight to the chassis, true your tires down. So, there's not a lot of vibrations within your tires. They're not chunking, breaking, yada, yada. Keep them balanced. Balance, that's crucial too. Some people do, some people don't do it. I balance my tires, especially when I'm doing super fast runs. I'm trying to keep that tire in one piece. These were never meant to go over, I think, 40 miles an hour or something like that. Dude, we're doing like 224 mile an hour with them, and they're blowing, but hey, sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. That's all down to luck at that point. There's those steps that you could take, like truing your tires, taking less meat off them. So the whole reason for truing it is because the faster you go, the more this tire is going to expand. You know what I mean? So if I take more weight off of it, then it's less expansion it's going to do. Centrifugal force is centrifugal force. There's nothing we're going to do about it, dude. Some of these wheels are spinning at 26,000 RPM or whatever the hell it is. It's ridiculous amount. My fucking street bike's not fucking, I think it's got 14,000 or something like that. You know what I mean? Fucking RC cars are doing double that, but true them down. You have variations. 98 seems to be a sweet spot. BSR actually sells a low profile tire that is already cut. They're not always in stock, but you can buy them cut at 98mm, and that's really good. Like I said, this video goes to the guys getting into this and learning the hobby. You know what I mean? So if you don't want to go all out and get the tire truer, you can get the BSR 98mm low profiles, Team Purples. They are pretty good, and they'll definitely do the job for you if you don't have a tire truer yet. I personally would recommend getting the tire chiller because the low profiles are not in stock all the time. What it is when they mess up, you know, having that perfect millimeter tire, they have to true them down. So they're basically just truing a Team Purple down to 98 millimeters for you already, you know, and there's nothing wrong with them. You know, I ran them. They're perfectly fine. They work great. I like buying them myself because I only have to do one pass on the tire chiller to get it down to my preferred height of the tire where I like it. You know what I mean? So they're pretty cool. It saves me a bunch of work. So I like to get them myself. But yeah, tire chiller, man, that's something you're gonna need. I guess the next thing would be batteries, man. Freaking shoosh. Batteries, man, there is a battery preference war. All right, guys, I went from the tires to the batteries, but my GoPro died on me. So we just talked about that. We're going to move on from that to the batteries. I'm going to cut the last one short and restart this because it died in the middle of it. Okay, so down to the batteries. I'm sponsored by SMC. I like SMC. I used to drive for Onyx. I was also sponsored by them. They're great packs. I prefer SMC. You know what I mean? A lot of guys prefer what they like. Ah, shit. That was meant to cycle. Hold on. Sorry, guys. They like what they like. So it is what it is, right? So it seems that SMC and Onyx would be the two leading batteries. I hit a record speed at 224 miles an hour on 8S with a dual, and I used SMC. I like their packs a lot. I used Onyx packs, and at the time, I think I seen either 219 or 213. I can't remember. I think, oh yeah, it was 213 was the most that I've ever personally gotten out of an Onyx pack. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not great packs. They are absolutely great, but different styles of driving requires a different pack, I believe. And I really believe that. I need a pack that can deliver power without any choking points or, you know, and that comes down to physical form with a battery. So the way SMC designs their packs versus how the other companies design their packs, an SMC pack applies better results to me based off of how I run. So I prefer them. Yeah, get yourself an ESR meter and, you know, cycle your packs out and you can be the judge. So I can't show you what this is. It's a test pack from SMC. It's the V4s, and they're looking good, man. They're looking really, really, really good. So I'm very excited. These are the 10,600s. I hit my record speed off of these, and those V4s are looking a lot better than these. So it's going to be an awesome next season. That's for damn sure, for sure. But yeah, we're over here with the batteries. So, you know, you can vary between batteries. I recommend you guys get SMC because they are cheaper. You are going to crash. You are going to eject things. It is going to happen. I know some of yous work really hard and buy yourself an expensive set of batteries and you'll go do a run and eject them. Now that may happen, it may not. You know what I mean? And what you want to do with your money is your preference. But if you ask me, you can get an extreme amount of performance out of an SMC pack that is cheaper. And if you're in the States, it's almost like, I mean, I'm close to their headquarters. They're a couple states away, and I get them the next day. You know, it's awesome. So, you know, and they're in Virginia or Canada, Virginia. I can't remember where they're at, but I get them in a day, so it's freaking awesome. Where some of those other packs, you could probably still get them pretty quick from Shadow Hobbies, Bob over there. I think he probably has Onyx packs in sight. I mean, on site. But it's just a price thing. You know what I mean? They both perform amazingly. So it's entirely up to you. If you can't afford that, you can go to China Hobby Line. I don't recommend China Hobby Line's like just normal packs and whatnot. I like the G Plus series. I've seen the best results out of China Hobby Line. I think that's their best pack right there. So you could get them, and they work great, and they're pretty affordable. So those 3 packs. Now let me explain something here. You need to have a good pack. You got to. You got to have it. You know what I mean? The good pack is going to give you Jesus, man. Shit everywhere. The good pack is going to give you consistent data. You know what I mean? Super consistent data. And you need that consistent battery to get, to see the small changes that you're making while you're growing with your setup. You know what I mean? And that's like, reverting back to the setup thing. You want to run a car a couple times on the same pack of batteries, charge the same amount, and do that a bunch of times and collect all that data and make sure it's consistent, that consistent voltage drop, so that when you change your gears, you can see a difference in the logs. You don't want to, this is where people get like too crazy with it. They say, well, I made this change and I went up in a gearing here and I went down over there, and they're all over the place. And the problem is that they're not getting consistent data from the battery. You got to think, you guys are building this car, and it's nothing. It is literally nothing without that energy. The energy gives this whole thing the ability to go. That's it. So get a high quality battery that's going to give you consistent, reliable data that is going to act the same every time you do a run, so that when you start making all them changes, you can see it in the data. You know what I mean? That's like the core foundation to speed running, is to have a reliable pack. You know what I mean? So these are SMC packs. They got a resistance of 0.4. These are cold. They are not at room temp. I mean, they are at room temperature. So the data looks really good on them. I can't wait till these. Next year is probably going to be worldwide distribution, so it's going to be pretty cool, man. There's probably going to be some crazy numbers to hit next year. Yeah, get yourself a reliable pack. These, I know you guys are probably seeing these crazy machines right here in front of me. These are not a requirement. This is when, you guys got a shit ton of batteries. I personally bring anywhere from 20 to 27 or 26 packs out with me when I'm running, because certain packs go with certain cars, certain mod for certain setups. Some have to be lighters, some can take the heavier packs, yada yada yada. I got all different setups, and I leave the cars alone. You know what I mean? If I put a motor in it, it's staying in it for a while, and I'm matching it with a pair of what's going on there? Oh, it's just cycling. I'm matching it with a pair of batteries, and the batteries are staying with that car. So you know what I mean? You get these are big dischargers, and when you're running a lot of packs, you got to discharge. This one's actually about to fire up here in a second, but they can discharge at like 40 amps or something like that. It's like ridiculous. So it'll dump like a 10,600 pack in like 3 minutes. So when I get done running, I can cycle all my packs up. This is like, these are handmade by my buddy, and they're ridiculous. They're awesome. Boy, get yourself an ESR meter. It is definitely going to be your friend. It is not foolproof, but what it does is it tells you the health of your battery, and it tells you where its peak performance is. So get yourself an ESR meter. I think you can get them on Progressive RC. They sell them there. Grab one of them. The thing with the batteries is, you know, get yourself a good charger where you can see all this data. You can, you know, you can do 8S packs, 6S, 4S, all that stuff. I recommend the iChargers. They're awesome. Yeah, man, it is what it is. Get yourself a good charger. Get yourself an ESR meter. Get yourself a voltage checker. These are also on Progressive RC. And all this stuff, all the batteries technology side of it, other than the physical battery, is all on Progressive RC. Go in there and get yourself a whole battery station. You know what I mean? It's, if you're gonna, like I said, if you're gonna be into this, you're gonna want that. You know what I mean? It's a good way to do healthy charging, balancing, all that good stuff. Definitely get that. So, you know, this has probably been a long, boring video. You know, you could see the mountain of packs from last season. There's probably a shit ton in there missing. This is an awesome hobby, man. It really is, man. Got all kinds of builds going and whatnot. And it's fun, man. It's fun to go fast, for sure. So hopefully this video was enough information to kind of help you guys get steered in the right direction. Get yourself a soldering iron. Definitely going to need that. You're going to be soldering a lot of stuff all the time. Yeah, man. You know, that's pretty much all I got. If you guys got questions about anything, let me know. I'll be glad to answer it. Now, I guess, with all that being said, some of you know me, some of you do not. Hopefully this sees me. Got camera crap everywhere, stuff, you know. But dude, I've been doing this for 3 seasons. I'm gonna let this be known, you know. Dude, 3 seasons I've been doing this, and I've acquired all this, and you know, started from never even owning an RC. I actually bought a Kraken. Was the first car I bought. I bought it for my son, and we played with it on Christmas one year, and it was like, man, this is pretty cool. So that summer I decided, well, I'm gonna go get one so we can play together, you know. And it took off from there. So, you know, I got my Kraken. I wanted to see how fast I could make it, and I started getting into speed running. Then I went to a Limitless, and actually I did some graffiti in an RC shop, painting their walls, doing, you know, for a drift track, and they gave me an infraction for doing it, you know, a ready to run infraction, and I loved it, man. I was like, man, this is cool. Street bashing, man, this thing's fast, right? And from there, I had some buddies that were drag racing, and they introduced me to the VT2, and this was the version 1, and I picked up that car, man, and that was it. I was committed. I love the VT2s. You know, if you watch my channel, you know, dude. I've been called the king of the VT2. Pretty cool. I like it. It makes me feel good. But yeah, man, awesome car. Company's great to be sponsored by. They, you know, Savora actually opened that door for me, and you know, does a lot. Dude. Check my man out, Saga Customs, dude. If you guys are the new guys, you know, Saga Customs, go there, and Scorched makes a bunch of Habal parts too. Cool, good quality products. So I would say Savora, Scorched, and then you can go to Raz to get some of these electronics and your shafts and stuff. He focuses more around the Armas, you know, but I'm sure in the future they'll probably, you know, start getting into the VT2s once his customers build up or something, you know what I mean? But so yeah, I'm sorry, a little about myself. I've been doing this for 3 years, and I can only run, what, you know, from April till Halloween, you know what I mean, April to October, and I started off with a Creighton, and like I said, I hit that goal of 130, and then I put 10 mile an hour on it every time, you know. So after a couple seasons, I think it was last season, it took me, what, 2 seasons, and I hit 200 miles an hour. So anybody can do this, anybody. I went from never doing this to, I don't even understand the mechanics on a real car, you know what I mean? I do now, actually, because of RC. But, yeah, dude, second season, hit 200 mile an hour. Like, anybody can do this. Anybody. I swear, you know, if you just have the right direction, and hopefully I could have given you that direction so that you guys can have the amount of fun that I do with it, you know? Seriously, it's awesome. Yeah, man, just, it can be done, 100%. I'm living proof of it. It can definitely be done. A lot of these guys have been doing it forever. I don't know, 10, 15 or whatever, I don't know. But I know some of these guys that run real fast, they've been doing it for a very long time. And, you know, if you just apply yourself and you got any questions, I'm glad to help, dude. I'm not, you know, obviously I'm not going to give you 200 mile an hour guarantee because I told you in the beginning of it. It's not that I don't want to. It's not that I'm trying to be fast and you be slow. It has nothing to do with that. It really has to do with it's hurting you. You know what I mean? The challenges and, you know, the knowledge and all that. It feels way better earned. You know what I mean? So I have no problem pointing you in the right direction now. 100%, dude. You guys got questions? Holler at me. I'll definitely get you going. Hopefully this video really helped you understand some things, and I'm sure you probably got some questions now that you want to ask, and that could, now with the information I've given you, you have a better understanding now. So, I mean, holler at me, bro. Simple as that. Alright? GoPro, stop recording. See you guys later. GoPro, stop recording.